Today, we're viewing a property. Ow! So most people do this the complete incorrect way of doing it, in my opinion. I think most people, they go out and view loads of properties. And I do it all the time when people come on my programs and they're like, right, my last mentor gave me a target of 20 viewings a month. And I'm like, good for you, mate. Viewings don't make money, okay? Offers make money. So why am I even talking about this? Well, before you even come to the viewing, you should have done 95% of your job already. Think about it this way. Why do you view a property before buying it? There's only two reasons. Number one, the estate agent insists on it sometimes. And number two, you want to make sure that it actually looks like the bloody pictures, because we've all had that fisheye picture from an estate agent and then you get in this big room that's actually quite small. Therefore, what happens outside of the viewing? Well, first of all, we're going to be looking on Street Check. I want to know what's up there, I want to know what's down there, and I can just drop the avatar on Google Maps and have a viewing of the entire street. Then I want to know who's living in the area. And that doesn't happen by me knocking next door and going, oh, hiya, let me introduce myself. No, I'm going to use property data, which, by the way, I'll put a link to that in the description below. And then I'm going to be looking at the demographic breakdown, I'm going to look at the tenure of property, going to look at crime in the area and everything else. So all of that happens online. I'm then going to jump onto Rightmove and Rightmove Sold. If you've got it, Rightmove Plus, but most people don't. And I want to look at the value of the property. So I want to understand, what is this going to be worth at the end of it? If it hasn't got a refurbishment already, how much is it going to be worth after refurbishment? I might look at other exits. So for me, I'm very typically looking at boring, vanilla and buy-to-let properties, but you might want to look at secondary exits. Could it be a HMO? What's the demand in the area? Could it be a service accommodation? All of that happens at home. I would have done all of my due diligence and had an offer accepted on the property, and only then would I entertain a viewer. So now that we've got to the property, you don't go in it. The first thing we're going to do is go to the other side of the road and we're just going to look at the property. So specifically, you want to be looking at the roof first. Are there any sort of sags in the ridge line? Are there any tiles missing? I want to look around the chimney if there is one. Is there any flashing that's loose around it? All of those things are going to be real key to any damage that could be caused by the rain. And we're in Yorkshire, you better bloody believe it's going to rain. The next thing I'm going to look at is the guttering. Is it leaking anywhere? Does it look like it's built up? Which happens over time. Are there any holes anywhere? If there's brickworks, how's the pointing looking? Are there any holes in that? What's the door looking like? Is it double glazed windows? Is it single glazed? And then finally, the curb appeal of the property. That's what I'm looking at from an outside perspective. And then very quickly, I'm going to look 10 doors to the right, 10 doors to the left. What do those properties look like? You might be thinking, well, what's that got to do with it? Well, you better believe if there's boarded up properties, that's going to destroy the valuation on the property. Are they looking after their property? Because that's going to be, if you're looking for the long term, something that's going to detract or attract tenants into the property. Only then do we walk inside. So when I'm coming into the property, I'm going to be going around to each and every room, room by room, and don't just gloss over it. It's very easy just to walk through suddenly, not really notice. I like going through with a checklist. So I've always got either myself or one of my team going through and running what we call a RAG on each room. So a RAG is your red, amber and green, and we really want to be checklisting. So red is like, no, you cannot be moving this property to somebody without sorting this. So often that has to do with anything that's dangerous, insurance won't pay out on it, electrical, gas safety, all of that sort of thing. That's going to be your red. Your amber is going to be, say it's a property like this, it looks really nice, but there's going to be little snagging to do. For example, could just be some bits that often, I'll tell you one thing actually, is windows have gone in and they haven't been sealed properly, or the window sill hasn't been put on if it's going to be drilled in with some wood. And then we're going to have green. So green is like, look, it's good to go. I'd still make a note of it. So I'll give an example around light switches. Almost always there's going to be paints on some light switches. I'm not going to mark that amber, I'm going to mark it green, which I'm going to notify the cleaner of to make sure they're getting that off when they're doing a deep thing. Now, as you're going around, I always like spotting things and thinking of the user experience. So if I'm going to be renting this out as a buy-to-let property, I'm going to be thinking, what's the main draw to a lot of people? So it could be the kitchen that you're going into, thinking, wow, this is going to be a family home, nice big kitchen, you can get a table and chairs in here. And I'm thinking of ways that I could be selling the property to my potential buyer, or in this case for me, almost always the tenant of the property. So at Aspire Property Group, we've got an in-house management team, and I want everyone that's viewing the property to be thinking about who's going to live here, who's going to make our investor's house their home. And ultimately, as we're going through step by step, we really want to be having that end user in mind. So now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to send all of that information off to the relevant parties. So my builders, preparing them for any work that might come of it. Now this property is pretty much done, so not in this example, but I really want to get people as prepared as possible. So I'm going to create a schedule of works and send that off to my builds team, my trades team, to get that work done. I'm going to send it off to my management company. Obviously you would send it to whoever is going to manage your properties. We can do it for you in West and South Yorkshire, but outside of that, we don't. But you need to make sure that the better prepared they are, the better they're going to be able to help you and guide you on any additional works. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of that information and I'm going to look at the information I had now versus before the property. Now, once you've got trust with the agents or your direct to vendor, maybe you should have done video walkthroughs before, all of that sort of thing. Ideally, what you thought it was going to look like versus what it actually looks like is as close as possible. However, this is why inspections are so important. Like every single person should be having somebody inspect their property. So for our investors, they don't view the property, they don't have time, they're busy professionals, right? We will view them on their behalf. Now the reason we do viewings is, as I said, first of all, pictures. When you get a picture, it doesn't tell you really the full story. The other thing is you can't smell what's in a property. You might think, why do you care what it smells like? Well, when you've got damp, for example, it's not always something you can visually see on the walls. It's something you can smell when you're in a property, especially in basements, for example, in properties which in Yorkshire there's quite a lot of. So what I'm going to do is put all of that information back into my analyzers, back into my spreadsheets, feed that back to my builders that have maybe priced up based on the photos, and then I will reapproach the vendor or the agent if necessary. Now, as a general rule of thumb, I don't like reapproaching people on prices because I like having integrity, being a man of my word. However, if there's something when I've gone to a viewing and I'm like, I was not expecting that, at least I can take pictures, understand it, and really communicate that. The final thing I'm always looking at, by the way, is outside. Is there anything that's maybe not on Google Maps because it was done 2 years ago versus today? I'm going to factor that into my refurbishment costings. Now look, all of this is a lot of effort. The average viewing and post analysis takes about 4 hours of time, and often what this means for investors is a full day off of work, especially if you're working with estate agents. So if you're a busy professional and you're looking to invest in property but you don't have the time and experience, you want to utilize and leverage Aspire Property Group's time, then that's what we're here for. We find the property, negotiate it, get it through legals with our team, get the finance in place with our broker for you. We do the full refurbishment, all of the inspections, and we have in-house management now. So it's a completely hands-free, end-to-end service so that you can stop working as hard for your money and we get your money working hard for you. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in and you've got the money to invest in property right now, then put APG in the comments. If not, I'll put a link, I'll pin it to the top, fill in your details, and we'll have a free one-to-one consultation session to see if we can help you invest your money further. If you're new to the channel, you want to find out more about property investing, make sure to hit that subscribe button and of course the notification bell. You are not going to want to miss the up and coming videos.